This is good as city council.
Yeah. All right, it's 5:30. If you would, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have any audience input on tonight's agenda items? Not, we'll roll right into the consent agenda. First off, do we have any items that anyone would like removed from the consent agenda? So in the consent agenda, we have any amendments, which I don't think we have any. So I think we also have the up for approval or the minutes from our last meeting. We have some professional development requests, 2 of them. And then we have a list here of 7 donations. The Blackford Intermediate PTO, $670.80 for a 4th grade field trip, which is awesome. Mr. Lyle and Mrs. Kathy Mannix, $150 for the FFA support. Leeward Energy, $1,000 for the junior senior high school robotics team support. Schroyer Family Farms, $100 for FFA farmer meals. Mr. Gary and Mrs. Anita Langdon, $50 in memory of Coach Brian Smith. Mr. Casey and Mrs. Kimberly McKibben, $50 in memory of Coach Brian Smith. And Mr. Lester and Mrs. Barbara Stalker, $100 in the memory of Coach Smith. I appreciate the donations very much. This is our consent agenda. Do we have any questions or comments? Not, do we have a motion to approve? No. Have a second? Second. Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Takes us to our action items. Just for any particular audience.
Public comments at the end. Yep. Thank you.
First up, we have personnel report. Mr. Yancer.
Yeah, just wanted to call out. We have a retirement for Terry Devers. Terry has worked for the district a long time. She's our lead custodian at Blackford Primary School. Takes a ton of pride in that building, has done a fantastic job. She's going to use up some leave. She's been out on leave due to some things there. But we're going to miss her. She has done, like I said, just a fantastic job. We'd like to move Tanya Tier from 2nd shift at the high school down to that head custodial role. So there's approval for that as well. Tanya's been with us a long time and will make a great head custodian in that building. So those were a couple of things. Welcoming back Lynn Bauer on a long-term substitute. We can't stay away. Other positions there.
Any questions for Mr. Yancer on the personnel report? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next up, we have the consideration of the 2025-2026 master contract agreement.
We held a hearing on this on October 14th and want to thank the union for their work through the process. There's no new information on that. State law requires us to have a hearing and then come back at least 10 days later or something like that to adopt. You can see all the terms there. I think Sherry shared with me that we had a unanimous application.
58 voted out of my 62 members, and they were all yeses.
So appreciate that. I think that's 4 or 5 years in a row with the unanimous approval from the teachers union. So we appreciate that spirit of collaboration. And With the board's approval tonight, we will execute that and get back retro pay on Thursday's paycheck and get the teachers to their new amounts and new contracts by the end of the week.
Any questions or comments? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thanks a lot, Sherry. Really appreciate it.
Thank you to the board and for Mr. Yelter and the team. It's, as I've said, many years, and this will be my last year as president. So this has been, sorry. It's just been nice in my position working through this process.
We can vote on that.
We would like that a little.
It's just nice working with a supportive board. It's appreciated.
She's promised to stick around and mentor new leadership.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you share, like, do you guys do terms? How long-
We do 2-year terms, and this is my 9th. How long have you been here?
This is
9.
9.
This is year 9. So I have decided to step away because, they're younger people who have more energy than I do. It's not because I don't enjoy what I do. It's just kind of nice to see some young people step up. And when you have somebody willing, you take advantage of that. So, but I will still be a mentor next year and still be part of all the teams. So
Very good. I guess having said that, even more, thank you for what what you've done over the years. Really, really appreciate the collaboration and teamwork from the administration team and you and your team. It's a process, but I think one that we've done pretty well with.
I feel very lucky to be here and do what I do.
All right. Next up, we have capital projects plan approval.
We had a hearing on this in the October 14th meeting. Tonight will just be approval of the things that we shared in the hearing. I want to remind the board afterwards, don't scout too quickly because she's got to get all your signatures. We got to do the DLTF tomorrow after the hearing. So any questions on that?
Any questions? Comments? Not, do we have a motion to approve the capital projects plan?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. This is plan night. Let's go. Bus replacement plan 2026.
Similar comments, had a hearing on the 14th. I do want to reiterate, back on the capital projects plan on this, special thanks to John Stroud and our maintenance team who do a fantastic job of keeping our facilities in great shape. Their tireless work and efforts. And then in the transportation department, Greg Bonowit keeps all our buses. We have a perfect rate of inspection every year with the state police when they come in and inspect our buses. They do a great job. And then Shannon on the day-to-day maintenance, the day-to-day work of keeping the bus routes running. And then she takes point in all of our bus replacement and all of our bus purchasing. So I appreciate their work on that, and we'll work together and we'll share with the board on that. Next year, we feel like we're in good operational health. We are going to try to replace 2 buses next year, which we haven't done in a long time. So appreciate her work on that.
Questions or comments on the bus replacement plan? Not, have a motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. And item E, the 2026 budget.
So again, gave a presentation with a lot of detail last month. This is, you'll see an ordinance or a resolution in your pack. This is a reminder. We always advertise high. The DLGF will take scissors to it as they go through final approval. And so, we expect the rate that's advertised in this hearing is $1.39. Our current rate is 95 cents. I expect our final rate to be right at 95 cents as they take the scalpel to it. This was, artificially high this year because we hadn't finalized the bond sale for this year. But we'll hit our target and be back around the 95 cent mark at the end of the process. Each year we advertise it 25 to 30 cents higher than where it actually lands.
Any questions or comments on this year's budget proposal? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor? Motion carried 5-0. Item F is a resolution to reduce appropriations.
So what this allows me to do at the end of the year, if we have unspent appropriation from 2025, again, appropriation is permission to spend. It allows me to reduce our appropriations this year, which would pack budget dollars onto next year. And we typically do that every year. We reduce the appropriations at the end, typically in the ed fund. That allows us to keep all of our cash balance appropriated if there were a need to do a major spend. Otherwise, we'd have to come back and request an additional appropriation, which we've done in the past, but it's 2 or 3 steps in 2 or 3 months or so.
Any questions on reduction in appropriations? Not, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
I'll second. Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Item G, we have the Pride Mark invoice approval.
This is nearing the end of that contract. The secured entryway is 99.8% done. We've got still some back order hardware keys that have been slow coming in on that, and one of the door fob mechanisms is still not operational. But other than that, we're completely done. So we're getting close to closeout. I will say that there was a Bartco Vilma built in a $60,000 contingency, and we only ended up spending about $18,000 of those contingencies. So we'll refund some of that contingency back, and it'll be in the bond fund. So
How's everything functioning with that project now that it's all basically done?
we feel good. As we got to the initial, there were some things that we had them come back and do. You design that. The entry vestibule is really good, but like, for example, we looked at it, had the architect look at it, had the office ladies look at it, had Jason look at it. And then we didn't realize until we had it open that we couldn't lock the door that went from the main office back into the hallway. So we came back and had a mag lock that they could lock that out. If there was something in the building, we wanted to be able to secure the office from the building. It was secured from the outside. But the function and flow of it, I think it works just like we had envisioned. It's been a learning curve for the staff to go back through the lobby, to have to go back. The principals are a little less accessible. They have to be buzzed in to go back through there. But I do think that it better fits the security needs that we'd hoped for.
How about the conference room and that as well?
Conference room's been great. We've used it as a makeshift business office as we ran into a little bit of issue out here over the last couple of weeks. But the new large conference room is a great space. I don't think they've fully utilized it yet because we've been in there. But I think that's a good space. The small conference room in the office suite works out nicely. And I think the guidance is actually a little more private. In the old guidance office, the lobby open to all of the counselors' doors. And now as you go back around that space, the counselors' doors are not facing the lobby. So there's a little more privacy for the kids that are being seen by the counselors.
One last question, the key fob. What's the issue with the key fob?
It's a hanger issue. The interior door, it's a backlog on a operating mechanism that's specifically spec to match our others. There's a particular vendor on the door hardware and the door and the keys that I think our Pride Mark job lead would go back to that vendor. And I think you'd be willing to arm wrestle the guy. I'm being real nice here because like, it's been a frustrating thing with one of our vendors, and it's a vendor we've worked with a long time, but their lead times are terrible and their communication has been bad on some of that. But it's a sub to the Pride Mark, to the point where we're trying to be sure on the auditorium project that we're speccing other hardware vendors.
Any other questions? Not, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. And lastly, in the action item, we have consideration of the administrative salaries and classified employee wage recommendation.
Each year we come back and look at this once the teacher contracts are set. So I'm recommending to the board that all classified hourly receive a 3% increase in their hourly rate. Pending board approval this evening, the effective date for the raise would be November 2nd. That starts our next 2-week pay period, and we would move those. There's one position in that I would like to move. Our current rate for CNAs is about $15.80. We've had a revolving door in one of our buildings of CNAs, and it's getting hard to get CNAs through the door for that money. So I'd like to move it in line with our specialized instructor. Our specialized instructors are classified hourly folks that teach like gym and art in the elementaries. So I'm going to move that. It's really one of the only credentialed hourly positions that we have in the district. We've had numerous applicants refuse to interview when they saw the rate at $15.80. And so I'm recommending that we move that up to $18.73, which would be the new rate for specialized instructors. And then we have a couple classified salary employees. I recommend they get a 3% raise as well. And then I would like to recommend that all returning administrators would receive a 2% raise for the 25-26 year. I did single out Mrs. Rubel to receive a stipend in lieu of a raise, and that's as we've now in year 6 of the combined building, we've worked to even salaries, and that will bring Mrs. Mealy and Mrs. Rubel closer by providing a stipend to Mrs. Rubel and then a raise to Mrs. Mealy. We've done that the last couple of years to pull their salaries closer.
Am I allowed to ask a question? Or,
Sure.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised. CNAs, I thought we had MAs. Education for an MA versus a CNA is MAs at least have medication training, and school nurses obviously give medication. So I'm surprised that we have CNAs instead of MAs. So I don't know what that is compared to other school systems and districts around. I know typically you only hire one RN.
Yeah,
But-
district-wide, we only hire one RN, and we do, and I've listed as a CNA. I think our current BPS person is an MA, but we have flexibility in that because we're just having a hard time finding those folks.
Do you post for MA and CNA, sir? Like for the education the same?
I'd have to go back and review our posting, but I think we're flexible in that because there's also there's another one in there, the QM.
There's a QMA. QMA is qualified medication assistant. So
Yeah,
they deal basically with just medications, but CNAs do not give medications at all in a hospital or a nursing home. It would be QMA or MA. So I guess that's a concern that maybe I would request a little, maybe some research compared to what other school systems are doing. Not sure.
I would say, just anecdotally, I know that a lot of the districts utilize CNAs in elementary buildings. There's a lot of oversight from our district nurse, and I think we've hit a home run with Mrs. Fox in terms of oversight for that. But these are positions that even at this hourly rate that we're increasing, it's very difficult to attract certified people to do these because of the schedule and the length of time and the amount of hours they can get.
And I forgot, I mean, yeah, it would all fall under technically her license as the,
Yeah.
as a corporation nurse. So,
Yeah.
and she's amazing because I've worked with her before. So,
Yeah. We,
if she would have concerns, I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just caught that.
no, it is, yeah, I'm trying to gently say I'm aware. We would love to have an RN in each building,
Yeah.
but the cost to
Yeah.
do that would be really tough. We did hire, we have hired LPNs in that, which would be great, in those. But, you know, like I said, we're in a spot right now where we're having difficulty attracting, you know, any type of medical license. So the CNA with direct oversight from Mrs. Fox, our corporation, our end is very comparable to what other districts are doing. So
You think currently we have the MA?
currently there's nobody at BIS. So that's one of the things we're running into, because we had a resignation in that area. I don't want to misspeak what the qualifications of Mrs. Clam at BPS are, but she's been with us for a long time. That's an important job. I don't know what her exact licensure is.
Any other questions or comments? Not, do I have a motion to approve the new salary structure?
So moved.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. That gets us through our action items, takes us to discussion of a camera system upgrade. Mr. Painter?
Chris, come out tonight. I wanted to show the board because this was a project that you guys approved. We did this out of extra bond proceeds from 2022. And we replaced all of the cameras throughout the district. Chris is going to show you a little bit of the capability. One thing you're going to see in this that you didn't see before is we made a quantum leap. The old infrastructure was more than 15 years old, and there's been a little bit of an upgrade. So I'll have Chris show you some neat things on the new cameras here.
Yeah. So the system's called Rhombus. It's a hosted AI embedded camera system. So this is what the dashboard looks like when you first log in. And so it's accessible through any web browser. We have provided an account for a central dispatch with specific permissions for them so that if something major is going on, dispatch has the ability to remote in, get eyes on what's going on and communicate that to the boots on the ground. So, but what you see here is over here is how you access all the different components of our system. So we have 124 cameras deployed. We have a few more that are set to go in at the new construction at the high school. We wanted to wait till the walls and stuff are up before we installed the cameras and stuff. So we weren't going to get cut off and all that based on the prints and stuff. So they'll be here probably next week, a week after that to finish up. We've got like 3 or 4 left to go. We have these audio gateways, and these are just satellites for the door sensors that aren't in range of a camera. And so what those audio gateways do, they were the cheapest piece of hardware that we could get within the system that would allow every door sensor that we have to communicate with the cameras and then trigger alerts whenever there's a prop door open. And so the alerts that we receive, you see these right here. These are automatically generated by the system. And so you can see here that we've had a couple of prop door alerts just since school's let out. And so it automatically creates this, and we can go in right here and we can see, yep, there it is. There's somebody there propping the door open. You can go into the footage and you can get really, really fancy and really granular with your ability to zoom, your ability to do some searches, use some of the AI capabilities like that. But these are tremendous time savers for our administrators when these alerts automatically populate like this. A couple of other alerts that do populate. Officer Kavanaugh has uploaded faces of offenders. And so if the camera sees any face that he has uploaded, it automatically triggers this alert. Get text message notifications, email notifications, things like that. So It just greatly reduces the amount of time to perform investigations, actually see what's going on. Coming soon, the environmental sensors at the high schools, the vape sensors in the bathrooms. We're building out an integration right now with that so that principals, when they get one, it triggers the alert, triggers the camera closest to the restroom. They can see who's coming in and out at the time that the alert is triggered. And so that's coming. There's a couple other integrations that we're exploring, but that's what alerts are, and that's what it looks like here. So this fills up throughout the day. But tremendous time saver in terms of running down different things that happen throughout the day. Down here, you can see here, this is the facial recognition part. I'm not going to pull up the faces because I don't want to pull up too many student faces here in a public meeting, but this is where Officer Cavanaugh can upload a specific face that from his system and things like that. And then the system is continuously scanning for that. And so we will get an alert for that. Also license plates, it scans license plates. And so the image quality isn't great. And if we click into this and actually get a view of the plate, you're not really going to see the actual, you can see it's pretty blurry like that, what they have here, but it does give us the text recognition of what it picks up. And then it does give us very good footage of make and model of the vehicle and things like that. So
where is that? Is that in all schools? We have license plates. Is that just at drop off, or is that like, where would that be?
It's continuously scanning in every exterior camera that's looking at a parking lot.
I better slow down.
So yeah. So if we go into an individual camera, you can see here, this is all the different cameras that upload here. These are all of the different audio gateways where they have them in the, these are in the remote areas. So I tell the custodians that watch your mouth in the very dark places of the building where there are no cameras, because those things are there. And then these are all of our different door sensors that we do have deployed. But we have 82, I think, doors in the district. So I'm just going to pull up a camera here from the office. And this is a live view into the new office at the high school, the lobby there. And so I want to show you a couple of capabilities here. If I come down here, this is a brand new feature. And so if we have someone that we don't want to get through the office, or they've gotten through the office, they got out the door, and we need to run them down. We know exactly where they went. This will populate. It's not doing it right now because we're a little bit slow right now because I'm wirelessly casting to this right now. But this will populate all of the nearby cameras to this camera and create the ability to go search down here, all of these different events that get triggered. But it creates all these different camera windows in a single pane of glass. And so you can see really quickly when they go from camera to camera to camera throughout so you can really just kind of chase them on the cameras is really what you're doing. And so that's a brand new feature. It's getting better. The thing I tell the principals is, it's AI right now, and this is the worst it will ever be going forward as the system learns. And then if we get in here, this is where we can do some pretty cool stuff here. So we can say, all right, I want to see everybody who wore something red. That's a bad color. It's one of your school colors. Okay. It'll cook here for a minute, and it will populate all the instances through that camera. They saw somebody in green clothing. And so you can go click right in. It creates a window of a clip, just like we saw with the alerts. And then you can go through, and so it really just cuts down on the amount of investigation time that you have. Another cool feature here is this region search. And so you can see these grids pop up. And so now this is great. So if somebody has something stolen or they lost something or it just came up missing, you can go ahead and we can zoom in just on this region here of these boxes. And so you can see here, it just starts to populate a window here. And if I want to go down, I know that, all right, this kid came in around 3 o'clock, 3:20 or so, and said that that's when they left it there. You can see here, it's focusing in on here. If I want to come down here and I want to find out, all right, when did those boxes not show up? When are those boxes not there? When were they delivered? And so, and you can do it in reverse. You can say, all right, there was something here. It's no longer there. And it just drastically cuts down on the amount of time that you have to comb through video and really get to the bottom of something. And so really cool feature. All that stuff is on every single camera. Obviously, there are no vehicles here, so but we could search license plates. License plate recognition obviously is not enabled on any of the cameras on the interior of the building. But create video walls. Officer Kavanaugh's created video walls that one of them that he has almost melts his computer down because he has so many cameras on it. But lots of different cool things. We're still learning the system. The system is still learning us. And they just continuously add features to it. But you guys have any questions over this system?
Okay, go to the weight room.
Nobody's in there.
You get a PR or something personal or.
Yeah, I want to see what's on page. Yeah.
This is a 360 camera. We can come back here to a different time when the lights are on. So here's a 360 of the weight room.
Okay.
Down around it.
So the reason I'm asking that is there's signs posted everywhere about putting stuff away. So you literally could see which group was in there and didn't put anything away, right?
Good.
So I would recommend we start using that for one thing.
Okay.
The other thing is, so it gives us door ajar alerts, right? So what are we doing with those alerts? I mean, are we saying, okay, Mr. Smith was at the door last, you need to start being more aware of leaving doors
Right.
open?
During the school day, it's alerting principals. And so it gives us an opportunity, you know, to either have the custodians see what it is. The nice thing, and Kristen mentioned it, we have, it has a wonderful iPhone based app. So you pull up that camera real quick. You see that they're going out to recess and that's why they're propping it. That's one. But yes, the goal of it is to reduce the amount of time that, you know, you have prop doors and that we don't prop doors, you know.
Right, because I mean, every once in a while when I go out to the high school, I'll see a door propped open because I don't know if a cheerleading instructor didn't have a key or whatever, a fob, and that door is left propped open because they're trying to get kids in. So obviously, I think if we've got that capability, we need to figure out who's propping them open. If they need a key, let's get them a key, but not getting too many keys out. Next question.
Some of that goes back to just changing habits that have been built in over year. And now
With fobs, it's a lot easier.
What's the G.I. Joe saying? Knowing it's half the battle.
And I've got several questions, so I'll apologize to everybody else. So legally, the vape sensor goes off when we get them installed. Kid walks out, we say, hey, you had a vape. It's like, no, I didn't. Legally, can we proceed with that?
Well, that would give you enough for reasonable suspicion. You'd still have to find the vape, you know, because we've seen some false triggers, you know, the cleaning products, you know, and he gets this report and we're able to isolate out what the cleaning products are. So it would create reasonable suspicion, but you would still have to find a vape.
But hopefully it's more of a deterrent.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're going to notify students, hey, by the way, we have sensors in all the bathrooms now.
And just for the record, we've had the vape sensors up for.
Yeah, they've been up forever.
Now
we got brand new ones because the other ones were so antiquated. And they have
The
a lot
first
more
time they
features.
went up, it was a very quick education.
Yeah. Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if they're caught vaping, they are suspended, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I'm just making sure that.
Yep.
And I'm assuming it sounds like from what you're saying, facial recognition, right? So is that any kind of a legal issue we got to worry about?
It's only facial recognition and it's not tied to any external system. It captures faces, but it doesn't know who the faces are unless we upload specific faces that says, look for these faces.
So the faces we're uploading are people that are not allowed within the school.
They would be on an offender registry.
Okay.
That wouldn't be allowed in the building. Those are the only ones.
There's 6 of them, I think, in there.
Okay. And I'm assuming that we're watching the license plate numbers in case something does happen. We need to verify what happened.
We aren't actively looking at those. It's a functionality of that. But if we did have an issue with a vehicle in the parking lot, it would allow us to more quickly. We don't have the time or the manpower to run license plates. But what this would allow us to do, like I think of an incident we had a couple years ago where we had a parent just basically drive through the yard around bus dismissal because they were mad. And, you know, on something like that, we would go, or we've had kids.
It'd be a retrospective
Jump the line,
usage of it.
yeah.
It's not like.
We're not
Okay.
actively doing that. The law enforcement agency isn't actively looking at that, but it's there in the event, you know, or if we had a, you know, like a vehicle, we've had this a lot where it's been all weekend and there's a vehicle left and now school is starting and there's a vehicle out in the parking lot. We don't know. It would help us run that stuff down, but we aren't actively looking at it. One thing I want to make clear on the facial recognition, like it captured some students' faces and everything. We're not tracking that day to day, but if there's an issue, like there was a fight or this kid was picking on me, we do have the ability to circle their face and follow through the building today to see if they were where they said they were.
Last two questions should be pretty straightforward. How long is the audio save that you're talking about in the dark corners of the building that so you don't cuss in front of them? And how long is the video saved?
Right now, the audio is not saved at all because we don't have that switched on. That feature is not switched on at all to archive anywhere. And so the only reason we have the audio gateways in place is just simply to augment the door sensors, to make the door sensors that are in the far off remote places function. That's their only capability. We don't have the ability to listen in right now. That is switched off as well. And so none of those features with the audio stuff is actually turned on.
But it could be switched on.
It could be, but we
Let me
can't.
ask you this question then. How much of our total building area has that just audio capability compared? So I guess if we've got 25% of our buildings that aren't cameraed or don't have cameras on them, should that be an activated audio?
That's that high.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
We've got
If it's
pretty much
5%, I'm not concerned, but if
Yeah.
we're up in 25, 30% of our buildings aren't
No.
covered, then.
No, we
it's not
have-
that high.
It's in those remote where you have a room and then another room behind the room, you know, where you have an exterior door or something like that. There are no audio gateways in BPS, just simply because there's about to be one because there is one sensor that is not in close enough range that we're finding out. There's a couple at BIS and there's a couple at the high school. We have 7 in the district. And so, and like I said, none of the audio features are switched on to listen, archive, anything like that. They're just acting as a communication device from sensor to the camera because it was the cheapest appliance we could put in the ceiling.
And don't take any of my questions the wrong way. I'm not trying to be
No,
negative. I just want to educate myself on this
No,
system and.
I really appreciate that. This has been
And,
a very time intensive thing and we wanted to come out of this with the best system possible. How long is the video archive?
Videos archived for 30 days. If you, any saved video from like an investigation that was performed, that is saved for up to 2 years of cloud storage. If we would like to keep any of that video beyond the 2-year threshold, then it's on us to download that video onto external storage and then house it on our own. And so most of the cameras by default, the camera in and of itself has an SD card on it that will save the video for up to 30 days. All of that video is shot to the cloud, usually around 10 o'clock every night.
Thank you.
We're appreciative of the questions. Other questions?
Yeah.
I know that I've asked this before. I think I know the answer, but we don't have these in any classrooms.
No.
They're in the
And
library.
We have one.
will we ever look at doing that? We've done I know we just have a preschool, but when you're working with kids, I want our teachers to be protected from accusations and I want our kids protected from anything. And we're seeing it happen all the time. It's popping up on the news where teachers are having, sex with kids in the classroom. Things are happening in the
Not
classroom.
at Blackford County Schools.
Huh? No, not at Blackford.
Okay.
But I'd rather be proactive. And
If we were to move to something like that, it would be, if that's something that the board's interested in pursuing, a considerable cost. Not only just the cameras, but we would have to probably at least double, maybe triple our allocated bandwidth from both our ISP and on the WAN that distributes that internet. We would have to make significant investments in our network infrastructure. our switching and our patch panels and things like that. Because we're close to capacity now in most of our.
So we've talked about that briefly at one point when you asked that question at the start. It would have, if you think about, 2 cameras covering a hallway that may have 8 classroom doors, and then you go back to 1 camera in each of those locations and the number of runs. I would say this total project district wide was around $230,000. It would more than triple that, and I think there's a conversation to be had there, but the expense, like Chris said, the network and the infrastructure, it would just exponentially grow. But if the board wants us to consider that, I'm not aware of any district that has one in every single classroom. But if that's something that
I was wondering if that
would
would
explore,
what that would prevent in all of these districts. I mean, you just pull up the news.
yeah.
With this first round, we have closed all the gaps that the principals requested of where they felt like they needed to have coverage. And so,
I got one more question. Are they video and audio or just video?
just video. If we want audio, if the board's interested in having more audio, then we have to deploy more of those in-ceiling audio sensors.
So since those photos were uploaded of offenders or whatever, have we had any recognition yet of any? Hopefully not.
We had one false alarm. And when you pulled up the side by side, I could see it was completely unrelated. It wasn't
Look like somebody.
just a doppelganger.
Yeah.
And so that was the only incident that we've had so far of that. One of the fun things is to go in there and find like a picture of me, one of my faces on there, and then have the AI determine who my doppelgangers are. And so,
Some folks are not flattered by that.
no.
Another neat thing he kind of showed it that I like is if a kid comes to the office and doesn't know a kid, especially at the high school, they can describe what they're wearing and you can type that in and get pretty close, to try to do. I want to thank the board for their support of this upgrade. It was much needed. The old infrastructure, you couldn't do any of this. I want to thank Chris and the principals. This was very time intensive to do the building maps, to lay all the layouts out, to make all the adjustment. Chris walked side by side with Rhombus, the contractor, on all the buildings and tweaked everything. And, that continues to lead the training for the staff, but it has cut a lot of time for our team on these issues.
We're still customizing each. So we'll still get some license plates. Like there for a while was liking the SCAG emblem on the back of the lawnmowers, picking that up. So we're adjusting the AI and we're getting it dialed in pretty well to where it's working the way it was intended to and the way it was sold to us. And the mobile app is by far and away the best mobile app of all of the platforms that were available to us. It's one of the major selling points.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Yeah, thanks. That's very informative.
Thank you. Again, thank you, the board, for supporting that upgrade. Much needed.
Mr. Yenser, Teacher Appreciation Grant.
But could you put that in the draft at each of their tables? I talked a lot about this last time. We are still in draft mode on the grant. We expect more communication from the IDOE on Friday of this week. But essentially, as we kind of process this as an administrative team, this, as we talked about last time, this grant structure is much different than what we've had in the past. In the past, everybody just got an amount. All the teachers did based on their effectiveness rating from the previous year. Now we're limited to just 20% of the teachers, and they have to have good data to support that. So we have a draft of an application. Teachers are going to have to apply and compete to be one of the 20%. That's only 17 teachers at Blackford County Schools that may award the grant. We've talked to a lot of schools after reviewing those upper criteria. A lot of the schools are limiting it to the tier 1 application this year. And I'd like to move in that direction so that there's a little bit more equity between the people that receive the grants. So we're leaning that way. I'm putting this back in front of you just to make you aware. And in the previous iteration of this, you guys used to have to adopt a board policy to administer the tag grant. They didn't put that in this legislative. And it's really at the discretion of the administration and the board. But again, for those of you that weren't here, the new grant is heavily reliant on assessment data, and it does disqualify a lot of our folks that don't have strong data or that are not in a tested area. Like for example, arts or like a guidance counselor or a speech language pathologist or a former teacher of the year. You know, if they're not in, Sasha was our teacher of the year 2 or 3 years ago. She's not necessarily in a tested area. So there's some real concern as I stood in front of all the staff. So I encourage them. This is something that I encourage teachers to reach out to legislators, because I just think it's not something that it's ideal, but we're trying to run it to the intent of the legislators, and we'll keep you up to date. By the end of January, we have to have selected our nominees to the state, and we have to provide data to the state on how they make that. So we'll get more guidance on Friday. I'll send email to you if it changes anything that I've got in the plan grant. But I'll extend the offer again to the board to allow you guys to select the winners if you want. Otherwise, I'll take care of that with Missy Smolden. So, questions on the teacher appreciation grant?
So you submit, you said nominees, are they actually the winners at that point, or does the state?
The way the guidance reads, again, we're anticipating more guidance Friday, that we will have to prove it, and the IDOE will vet the data submissions that we send. My belief in the IDOE's capacity to do that for all 400 school districts in Indiana and individual teacher records is not great. And that's not a slam on the IDOE. That's the IDO reacting to the legislature. They have to vet it. So it's kind of a multi-step. The teachers will submit to the principal will review the data, and then they'll send that to the district administration and we'll review. So depending on what comes Friday in the new guidance, there may be some variation. So that's the draft plan. We may slow down if things look wonky. The amount that we get allocated, we're supposed to know on Friday, but there's not enough in the state budget to give 20% of the teachers in Indiana the lowest tier. So I don't trust what we're going to get yet. So fully commit, but I want to know we were still continuing to move on that. Okay.
Item C, 2025 bond repayment scenario.
So yesterday I had 2 hours with Baker Tilly and Standards and Poor, clarifying the bond rating for BCS. I'm going to report on that next week. We've always had good, strong bond ratings. Think of it like your personal credit score. That's the thing that we go through as a district. The fiscal oversight has always been graded very well as we went into the boards or went into bonds. Congratulations to the board, for the things that you set up. Really, the only feedback I need from the board tonight as we go into an anticipated bond sale in mid-November is when we want the step down to occur. So, Mr. Malott, these are your favorite graphs to look at. What they've modeled for you is a step down 2 years out, 3 years out, and 5 years out. What that means is that the next opportunity the board would have to pursue a larger capital project to meet the needs of the district. Do you want that to be 2 years away, 3 years away, or 5 years away? And you can see the interest impacts of each of those decisions. My only recommendation, I do not believe we need to look at the first model. I don't think we need to look at that. I'm open to the board. You can look at that and see the estimated interest expense. This is all good illustrations based on where the markets are right now. But you can see a difference in interest if the step down is in 2028 or if it's in 2031. And I'm really open. As a reminder, board, you've done a great job. The 2022 project cleaned up roofs and HVAC and all of those things for the district. So we're in a spot where I feel good. I definitely don't think we should do a 2-year step down, but I'm open to 3 or 5 year.
Board.
Initially, when I was looking at it, I was looking at the 3-year because I didn't see a significant amount of decrease in the interest between that and a 5-year, but and if we needed to, we could do, if we had to, if emergency did come up, we'd have it, but 5-year, good too. Pay it off.
I would say, I mean, because of what you said was the 3 and the 5, I agree. I don't see a huge difference between 3 and 5. So I would just say 3, because that way, if something does come up or we need to do something that's unexpected, you know, I'd rather see that capability be there in 3 years as opposed to 5.
The other thing to think about at 3 years, we've talked a lot about SEA 1 and the property tax in cap. This year, we're in good shape. We have 4.7% assessed valuation growth in Blackford County for 2026. But as more of those deductions come on, and in 2028, when the lit revenue falls off, as that's projected, we will potentially need to look at some different things in 2028 than we're looking at right now in terms of our ability to do things out of operations. It'll get cut down in 2028. So that would time out pretty well with that change.
And that too, yeah, I was thinking of that. I didn't want to be braggadocious
I
about
was
it.
counting
but-
on wind and solar to make up the difference.
So am I seeing a consensus for 3? This is,
I'm at 3.
3. Okay. This isn't something that necessarily we need to vote on, but we'll have a little bit of ability to massage that on the bond sale day. But knowing that that's when the board would like to see the step down. Because essentially what happens is we will go to public sale on the day. And as people compete and bid, they move around financing packages to be more attractive. And so we'll be able to manipulate that a little bit on sale day. So I'll communicate that to the Baker Tilly team. We should be good to go.
We have public comment. We have Jessica Kitterman.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
You're sticking around.
Oh, actually, this is early.
Yeah.
Is there been a graduation date set for 2026? And then I guess my question is, why do we not set the graduation date when the calendar is adopted, and would recommend that be done? I do know there's other school systems that do it actually 2 years in advance. But it's, yeah.
Well, it's not set, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but we don't know how many snow days we're going to have. I mean, we got to make up. That's why it's not set at the beginning of the calendar. So if we have 10 snow days and we can only work in 2 or 3, that will push our graduation date back. So that's why we don't set it at the beginning of the year. We have a tentative that we want to see it on, but it could be adjusted depending on the snow days and cancellations, I should say. And the state's zapped us on how many virtual days we can do too. So it's not like we can take, all of our virtuals, and because you're 3, is that the number we're allowed?
We can do 3 asynchronous. We can do more than that if they're synchronous, which is typically what we do. Yeah, it's something that I think we could go back and look at as we're better down the road to e-learning. We've built in 3 makeup days the last couple of years. I am planning to have a calendar for the board's decision in November. If you'd like to see the graduation date, if you're going to do it real early, you have to put it out there to accommodate and know that you may have to change. We have always,
Put a tentative date.
yeah. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
guess others do it. So it's like, and
Yeah.
especially with the virtual days now,
Yeah,
it's like, and you already have 3 built in, you have 3 virtual, there's 6 days right there. Look back at the history of how many school days we've had in the past. I know we typically go the Friday after, like the week, like if last day of school is on a Wednesday or Thursday,
Yeah.
our graduation is typically the Friday after that. So
Yeah.
that leaves you a whole nother week.
So would you be more upset if we set a date and then had to change it?
Torrential.
I mean, if we had a blizzard, like a blizzard of 78, I mean, I'm asking, I'm curious. Because then somebody goes, well, you said this date and it's not that date, you know,
Well, and I know there's regulations like that, but I know in Ohio, and I know we're not Ohio, but it's like their seniors get out like 10 days ahead of the regular class. So it's like if graduation said, I mean, you know who's going to graduate, who's not going to graduate. Like let the seniors graduate, and I mean, if the rest of school has to go back 3 more days, what's it really matter?
I think this is something I'm willing to have a little conversation with Mr. Ridge and the leadership team there. Mr. Scheimer, when his leadership was here, he wanted to do it the day the kids left. He wanted to be done. I think Jason tends to favor a little bit. And some of that was under the conversations that I had with Mr. Scheimer. Jason has typically recommended one out there a week. Does the board have any strong feelings on that either way?
I'm just gonna be interested. I mean, is there a group of people out there that are really upset about not having it set? I'm just curious.
But I've had a senior 4 years ago. I've got a senior this year. I've got a senior in seniors in 4
Plan that
years.
day,
And,
right?
and it's just as like, you know, it's November or October, and I know my family is going, you know, we get together at the holidays and we don't have our graduation set. And I've got,
We typically,
it's like, yeah.
we have typically waited till about
It's-
December to set it. So
Yeah,
we can take a look at that. And that's a conversation I'm happy to have.
it's
with
nothing
Jason
major.
before we
It's
get there.
just. petty
No,
stuff.
it's a good idea. I just was
Yeah.
curious how big an issue it is.
Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
At least when the calendar is approved.
I'll say early in my tenure, before we had e-learning days, I did not want to do that. If you remember the first 2 or 3 years I was with you guys, we didn't have e-learning. And then we were adjusting the end date of school back like Mr. Malott talked about. It has been with e-learning a little more regulated, and maybe it's time to look at an old practice. But we can do that. How about this? I'll commit to getting you a graduation date by the November board meeting because that's about on task. And then in the November board meeting, we planned out the calendar. We've got that out to the BFT right now, and they gave me some feedback. I'm talking with the admin team again on Thursday, so I'll get you guys a draft next week and ask for board approval of the calendar in the November meeting. Thank you.
Good question. Thanks for the feedback. So what do we have next? Superintendent.
One real quick one. Thank you. You approved a surplus auction a couple months ago. Shannon and John and their teams executed that last week. $24,340 of revenue from the sale. We sold off a lot of that old equipment that hadn't been moved for some time. And that has been deposited in operations already. Thanks to her, Beth helped out with all the calls and 24,000. We had some old bus.
For that Babe Ruth property.
The Babe Ruth part, it was right around there. It was in the mid-20s. Yeah. We had this one, we sold the real old dump truck that hadn't moved in 3 or 4 years. We sold an old box truck that the frame was rotting out. I mean, we sold everything as is. We had an old bus that was in that, a couple old minis, an old backhoe, a 1960s era backhoe, and a 1960s era Ford utility tractor. So there were some things that had been sitting for a long time, you know, that just needed to go to clean up that space.
So just cleaned up the lot a little bit.
Cleaned up the lot a bunch.
Did they find more stuff that we can do another one? Buried behind all that.
I have to promise Shannon is the engine behind all of those. I have to promise her we will only do one a school year.
About board comments.
Yeah, I got one. Jessica, this is exactly the reason people should come to meetings. You got a problem, you got a concern, bring it here. Let's have a conversation about it. Don't go on social media. That stupid board doesn't know how to do it, schedule anything, you know. This is why we have our conversations. That's when we had that hot button topic a month or so ago. Come and talk to us on a regular basis. Don't come when you're mad.
Yeah.
I mean, this is exactly how it's supposed to work. You've got an issue. I know. I mean, you've got an issue. We talked about it. We're going to look into it. I mean, that's how it's supposed to work. And it just frustrates me when people want to just get online and start talking trash. I mean, we try hard to make people happy, believe it or not.
I do think that I echo what Scott says, because really we represent the community, but it's hard to represent a community that they're just not here and they're not giving input and they're not asking those questions. So, you know, you see it on social media, but what is that? I mean, so yeah, I think that you're here. I'm thankful for that. So
Thanks for not bringing Brian too.
Oh,
Oh, no, I said that. It's online, so too late.
All right, no other comments?
comment.
Sure.
How are we doing with guidance at the high school? We're going to be okay there, being down to.
We posted the position and we have the other one going on leave. We're fortunate to be in a spot where we have 2 licensed counselors in other roles in the district. So Val Janowski Human was out in the high school for a long time. She runs our Achievement Academy. She's going to be able to really behind the scenes do a lot of the master schedule creation. Karen Mealy is a licensed counselor prior to moving into administration. She's, I believe, met with all the seniors, or a big chunk of the seniors this year that would normally have been in that. We've got the job posted. This is not a great time to be hiring a licensed person. So Jason and I, they've got a good working plan to build the master schedule and take through some of those things with the two folks that I mentioned. But we're gonna leave this open for a couple weeks and then reevaluate if there could be, you know, potential reassignment or something for the year to get us back into the hiring window in the spring.
Second question, there's a new pathways that I'm sure most of you have heard about, but basically you could now do a ministry pathways Indiana through public schools, state of Indiana for graduation. So is that something that we are going to offer so the kids could go to Taylor?
I didn't see it as a ministry. I saw it as a
Religious studies.
studies. And
It
I
would
just,
all fall under that.
yeah. So the way that some of the individualized pathways work, if an individual school creates a pathway and they get approved by the IDOE, everybody else can use it. But I haven't seen the bones of what they did in that, because it's not in the current course, the pathway description guide. It's a one-off, and as they move forward it will come, but we haven't had a discussion about that.
It looks like, from everything I'm reading, you know, instead of sending the students to Ivy Tech, they would be able to go to Taylor. They'd be able to, because they're hitting this up. I mean, she's getting the secretary's going, she's going to like Taylor, and she made the announcement there. And they went to Huntington University, made the announcement there. I haven't
Secretary of
Education.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them make the announcement in Indiana Wesleyan yet, but it is real. I mean, it's, so I'm assuming that's what they're going to look at. Hey, if your student wants to pursue that, they could possibly their junior, senior year go to Taylor, and that would count for their pathways.
Let me do some digging on that. I saw that, but it hasn't made its way into the IDOE literature for what is approved. But we'll get a look at that. Just on an aside, we have had students that we have approved for dual credit that have taken, you know, went over to Indiana Wesleyan or Taylor and taken an Old Testament or New Testament class. We've given them elective credit for that towards their graduation, which has always been, you know, an option for a kid, you know, to want to flex out and do some dual credit work. But I'll investigate that pathway and give the board a little bit more of an update. I don't know it well enough to speak to it.
And then the last thing, when we're looking at pathways, I don't know who we would want to look at this, but I really am interested in the arts, particularly when it comes to our mental health. I have a child that is with me, and well, 2 children that are both have a lot of trauma and PTSD, and the thing that's really helping them more than anything else is the arts and some of the therapy that they're doing with the arts. And knowing the community the way that I know, I think it would be beneficial. And I don't know if any school's doing anything with the arts as far as therapy in the schools.
I don't Yeah, you're blending that with therapy, so I'm gonna.
So it's-
art therapy.
Yes, so yes, music
That's not physical
therapy.
therapy. That's not occupational. It's not speech. That's, he's
So
talking about something
basically,
different.
you can use
Art.
music as a way to deal with anxiety and your and you can use art as a way to deal with, it's a mental health.
We do have it. It's not what you're saying, but we do have a fine arts pathway that we
Correct.
in the 2D and 3D art area,
Right.
but not.
This would be more focused on the mental health side. To help the students that are really maybe struggling with that area. I did see the cell phones is, the improvement that we're seeing because of putting the cell phones away during school.
Definitely.
The state, I've seen where they bragged on that a little bit. I'm also encouraged and hoping that will continue to not just improve there, but also mentally, like the mental health side of that. We'll see some improvement.
Yeah, and we'd all be better if we could get away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely back on your religious instruction. I'll get some look at that. Let me think a little bit about the music and art therapy. I'd have to envision what that would look like, because what you're saying is more like what I think I'm hearing you say is more along the lines of a student receiving therapy, which we have a lot of therapy connections for kids to do. But if we're talking pathways,
No, this is not a pathway.
okay.
This would be therapy offered to students that need it. And it could be a group of students.
Okay.
Think
And-
more of our behaviorists that come in.
Yeah.
It would be more
I'm with
like,
you. We started with pathway, and so my mind
Sorry.
shifted towards that, because what I wanted to be clear was like your pathways have to be working towards a credential skill, So, okay. Very good. That's board input tonight. Thanks.
There's no more questions. This meeting's adjourned.
Don't leave till you sign all those hearing resolutions so that we can get them on. Thank you, guys. I had thought about graduation.
You had, or you hadn't?
But I don't have a senior at home.
I was